But despite the hardships, a bright thread of hope winds its way through each account. Everywhere we look, we see assurances that God loves his people with a fierce and committed love. Old Testament Rewind, Scene 1, the Genesis, or...
Help, God! We've messed up already!
In the beginning, there was nothing but God. And so God spoke, and there was light. Over the course of 7 days, God created all things. The earth, animals, fish,
Big one!
big one, and the entire universe. And finally, a man created to be like himself.
Not bad!
But God saw that the man was lonely, and so he created a woman to be his companion.
Not bad!
Everything was perfect. God had provided the man and woman everything they needed, and they were in a relationship with him, just as he had planned, until one day.
Hey, girlfriend! Who, me? No, I'm talking the only other woman on the whole planet. Yes, you. Oh, well, what's up? Well, I was wondering, you and that dude you hang out with seem to have it pretty good around here. But I noticed you never eat from this tree over here. What's up with that?
Well, God has given us just one rule, that we can't eat from this tree. He says if we do, then we'll die.
Yeah, please, get out of here. For eating a piece of fruit, you won't die. Are you telling me you've got the whole run of the world here and you're scared to eat from this one little tree?
I'm not scared. I just want to listen. I mean, this is what he told us to do. Chicken.
So prove it.
Oh, don't.
Hey, Eve, I'm starved. What you got cooking?
They had broken the one rule that God had given them, and as a result, messed up a perfect relationship with the perfect God. They were banished from the Garden of Eden and had to spend their days laboring for the food that had once been provided for them. Man continued to get more and more evil and grow further and further apart from God. And that relationship that God had once had with people, his very reason for creating them, was gone. So God decided to start over. He brought a huge flood on the earth and destroyed everyone in the world, except one man's family, whom he shut into a boat with 2 of every animal. Noah's family was saved from the flood and got busy repopulating the earth. Scene 2, the promise. Time passes, and even though God had shown with the flood that he meant business, most people ignored him and continued to sin. But a few people really tried to follow him. One such person was a man named Abraham.
Abraham,
What? What's going on? Who's there?
it's me, God.
Oi, God, you are talking to me. What have I done that you honor me?
You have obeyed me, and so I will make a promise to you. I will give you more descendants than the stars in the sky. I will make a nation of people out of you, and they will be my people.
Well, God, this sounds wonderful, but where am I going to put all of these people? I mean, I just have this one-bedroom apartment, and it gets kind of small when everybody comes over.
I will give you a land of your own. I will show you a wonderful land that I will give to your descendants. You will defeat all those who live in this land if you trust and obey me. It will be a land flowing with milk and honey.
Wow!
Now go.
And so the promise was made, a promise that would show God's faithfulness time and again, even though it would be a while before it actually happened. Time passed, and Abraham and Sarah gave birth to a son. God came to Abraham and told him to sacrifice Isaac to him as a test. No, wait, Abraham, you don't have to do this. It was just a test. And you passed.
Yeah. Hey, don't do that to me.
More time passed, and Isaac had kids of his own. 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. Jacob and Esau had an argument over a trick that Jacob played on Esau. Fearing for his life, Jacob ran away to a place called Haran. Jacob eventually had 12 sons of his own, one of whom was named Joseph. The story of Joseph and his brothers is well known, so we can kind of fast forward through some of this. Jacob loved Joseph the most and gave him a special colored coat. The brothers hated Joseph and sold him into slavery. Joseph worked for a guy named Potiphar, but got thrown into prison when Potiphar's wife hit upon him. Pharaoh was disturbed by some weird dreams and heard of a guy in prison who could interpret dreams. Joseph told Pharaoh that his dreams meant there was a famine coming throughout Egypt, and in 7 years there would be no food. Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of Egypt, and Joseph stockpiled food for the time of famine, saving Egypt. Joseph's whole family joined Joseph in Egypt during the famine.
You want to take a picture of our whole family?
A picture?
Yeah.
A picture?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We'll just pretend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love pictures.
Oh.
Where's all the rest of our family? I don't know where we're at.
Family,
Hello, family.
Hello, picture.
Oh.
You gotta say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Say yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I just learned that.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
I'm embarrassed.
I know they like to scrapbook, so they always want pictures. Years passed, and Joseph's family got larger and larger. This is where God's promise to Abraham began to come true. Remember, Abraham was Joseph's great-grandfather. Eventually, Joseph died, but his family kept getting larger and larger. A new Pharaoh came into power that didn't remember Joseph or like the fact that all those Israelites were in Egypt. He enslaved them all, but they just kept on multiplying until there were about 2 million of them. The Pharaoh decided to put an end to the Israelites once and for all. He decreed that any Hebrew boys born during that time would be put to death. It was at this time that Moses was born. Scene 3, the Exodus, or Inter Moses, Exit Us. Get it? Exodus? Okay, I think you have it. Anyway, it was at this time that Moses was born.
All right, we're coming.
It was at this time that Moses was born.
I am Moses. Okay, here's the deal. I grew up as a prince, and I kind of accidentally, on purpose, killed a man, but then out of fear, I ran to Midian.
Welcome to Midian, land of mystery and adventure. Sir, could I interest you in any of our finest merchandise?
No thanks. No. So I'm in Midian, and then I get married, and then I become a shepherd, and then God speaks to me from a burning bush. He says, Moses, go back to Egypt and release everybody from slavery.
Moses, you must be joking.
So here I am.
I will never release your people.
Tough luck, Pharaoh. God will bring his power on you.
And to make a long story short,
Too late.
Too late. He did. Let the plagues begin.
Blood in the Nile.
Frogs. Ribbit. Ribbit.
Flies. Gnats.
Dead livestock. You.
Boils. And locusts.
Hail. Hail.
And darkness.
Israelites, if we put the blood of the perfect lamb over our doorpost, then God will pass over our house when this plague of death kills all of the firstborn sons.
And God did, but
My son is dead. Take your people and go.
All right, 430 years of slavery over, just like that. Well, come on, Israelites, let's get out of Egypt before the Pharaoh changes his mind. We're following the leader, the leader, the leader. We're following the leader, the leader, the leader. We're following the leader, the leader, the leader. We're following the leader, the leader.
and everything was going great for about the first 5 minutes.
I wish I had never followed you. I wish I was still back in Egypt.
No, this is the way God told us to go. We need to trust and believe in
I
Him.
never followed you. I wish I was back in Egypt. Wish I was dead.
Oh, my. Just go.
I will. Ugh.
And so God allowed Moses to part the Red Sea, leading the Israelites through on dry ground. But the Egyptians were destroyed as the water filled back in. Over that next year, many things happened as the Israelites wandered in the desert toward the land that God had promised Abraham, the place that had come to be known as the Promised Land. God gave them the 10 Commandments to obey,
Here they are.
which they immediately began disobeying.
Boy,
They complained that they were hungry.
We're hungry.
oh,
So God gave them manna, which fell from the sky.
We don't like manna.
So God provided quails for them to eat.
Tastes like chicken.
And this is how it went for the year that it took to get to the Promised Land. The Israelites were disobedient and whiny, and God continued to forgive and provide until at last they arrived at the Promised Land.
God has promised us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey.
Moses, does it have to be milk? Because, you know I'm a little lactose intolerant.
Wyatt, I have sent spies out into the land to tell us what we will find once we get there. Whoa!
Hi, I'm back.
Well, what'd you find?
Oh, there are many groups of people there already.
What?
Yes, and they are going to make very dangerous enemies.
Oh my. Okay, that's okay.
Moses, you know I never wanted to follow you. I wish I was still back in Egypt. You know, I wish I was dead.
No, you Israelites. God promises He's going to defeat all of our enemies, and you still choose to whine and disobey? Just go.
I will.
And so God, who had led the Israelites to the Promised Land, punished them. They were forced to wander in the desert for the next 40 years. None of those who saw God's wonders in Egypt ever got to see the Promised Land,
Aw, man.
including Moses.
Aw, man.
And to make a long story short,
Too late.
Scene 4, 40 years passed, wandering in the desert. Moses died, and God chose a new leader for the Israelites named Joshua.
Hi there.
Joshua was humble.
Oh, hi there.
He led the Israelites well. At last, it was time to re-enter the Promised Land. Joshua led the Israelites into the Promised Land, and this time they were ready to trust God and do this whole thing His way.
Listen up, Israelites. There are many groups of people that are going to try and stop us from moving in.
Didn't you make a reservation or something?
Pay attention. As long as we obey God, then we will defeat them. But if we disobey, then we're going to have trouble.
And that was the way it went. When they obeyed God and did things His way, nobody could stop them.
Yay!
But when they let sin into the picture or disobeyed God, even the wimpiest of enemies beat them.
Boo!
And in this way, they eventually took over most of Canaan, the promised land. When they obeyed, they won.
Yay!
When they disobeyed, they lost.
Boo!
They won some.
Yay!
They lost some.
Boo!
Sometimes they...
Yay!
I think they get the picture.
okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Are you tired?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, you worked hard.
Okay.
Okay. Where was I now?
And this way eventually took over like that.
Oh, thank you. And in this way, they eventually took over most of Canaan, the promised land. Scene 5, entering the promised land.
Or milk and honey.
I thought he said elk and bunnies. Tastes like chicken.
Before his death, Joshua gave the Israelites some instructions.
I'm going to die soon.
I didn't even know he was sick, did you?
Hey, I'm not sick, I'm old. Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't forget what God has done after I'm gone. Continue to obey Him, the one thing He commands us to do. Now that we possess almost all of Canaan, we must go out and defeat the few remaining groups of people that live in this land.
And so, Joshua died.
Oh man!
Joshua died. And to make a long story short,